Good afternoon. My name is Amina, and I've been requested by a few people to record a clip of my story of what I've encountered or endured over the past 3.5 years. A spiritual experience that I encountered at the beginning of 2017 that has brought a lot of trauma, pain into my life, and how I'm not able to do the kind of work that I'm able to do now. So I will start off by saying that I live in Cape Town in South Africa. At the moment, I am 49. I have 3 brothers, one older, 2 younger. And I have worked as a systems engineer for over 15 years. And at the beginning of 2013, I left and wanted to work on the body. So I thought of working, taking my analytical skills and problem-solving skills and assist the body to heal. Because prior to me leaving, I'd met people who had told me that that there was something special about me, that I had a strong aura, that they felt that there was something significant that I needed to do, and that at some point in my life I was going to change that, or change was going to take place in my life, but I had no idea what they were talking about. There were 3 or 4 different people prior to 2013. And at the beginning of 2010, I started having lots and lots of dreams, at least 7 or 8 per night. And prior to that, I would have the normal dreams like everyone else, twice a month, maybe. I spoke to a relative of mine and said, I don't know what to do with all this information, all these dreams. I don't know if they're significant. And she advised that I speak to an imam, which is a spiritual guide in the Islamic faith. And he then said to me that when he was around me, he could feel very strong, powerful energy, he said, and he referred me to another woman because he said he couldn't assist with the dreams. And this lady then explained to me about the difference between darkness and light. At that point, and I'm still not religious, I read holy texts, but I've never classified myself as religious. And for me, there's a distinct difference between being religious and being quietly faithful, doing what you do. I don't project religion onto anyone. Everyone has their own belief systems. To me, as long as you're good, you have the best at heart for your family and for others, I can't judge. I don't know what's in your heart. So I come from a household where I wasn't raised very religiously. You just did the basic. You were taught your morals, you went to Islamic school, but there was no hectic, you have to pray, you have to do this, not at all. And I think that worked in my favor because I was never pressured into anything by either one of my parents. I was never disrespected by my brothers, my parents, the rest of my family. And there was no pressure on being religious or wearing this or wearing that. My garb was my decision to make. I felt comfortable. I felt that it was what I wanted to do. And so if everyone has a different opinion, that's because they feel comfortable doing what they do. So if you see me wearing a scarf and you're thinking, oh, another Muslim, I'm not like that at all. This is just my decision because I feel comfortable. I don't have to sit and style my hair for hours. So I met this person in 2013, and this person was explaining to me the difference between dark and light. And she was saying that I was shifting out of the darkness into the light, and that when and she also said that at some point, she said, you were surrounded by so much light, there's so much light in your life, and something was going to happen at some point. And this was in 2010, 2011. And I thought, okay, no idea. And then I went for a massage in 2013, and met a young woman, and I explained to her, and she also said something to me. She said, the way you're sitting looks like you lost someone recently, and I just lost my dad and my grandma prior to that. And so I said to her, I've met someone like you before, where they look at someone, they're able to assess what works for them and what doesn't. And I explained to her, look, this woman said to me that at some point there would be a change in my life. And she said, this young person said to me, and when that change happens, you need to take a step back. But what they didn't tell me was how far a step back I needed to take, because I wasn't prepared for what the universe dealt me at the beginning of 2017. So I embarked on a journey of kinesiology, 2013, and at the end of 2016, one of my clients brought a friend along, and this friend said to me that my youngest brother is ill, and she said, you'll be able to heal him. And I thought, okay. And she said, you're going to change. There's light emanating from you, and you're physically going to change. And I thought, this is the third person that's telling me the same thing. And then she said to me, people like us, and I thought, I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't do what you do. And anyways, this was towards the end of 2016. And then 2017 hit, and my household went completely chaotic. I had no idea what was happening. It was as if God just shook my house, and I experienced things on a level that I thought was crazy stuff. I was sitting in my bedroom one day, and I heard the voice of an angel, literal angel, Gabriel. And Gabriel said to me, he greeted me in Arabic. He said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I am Gabriel, which in Islam is Jibril, and I am bringing news to you about God elevating you in rank, and in Islam it's called an awliya, and in Christianity I think it's called a saint. And I thought, that's a joke. I hyperventilated for 3 days, and I thought, this has to be a joke. Because I know what an awliya is in Islam. It's a really big deal, and in Christianity a saint is a really big deal. And and there were other things mentioned to me as well. And I thought to myself, who is possibly going to believe this information? And then I told a friend of mine a few days later, and I said to her, I have to tell you what happened. When you get so overwhelmed with wanting to tell someone. So I said to her, I said, I have to tell you what happened. And she listened, and I confided in her. And we went out one day, and I had a message for her. I'd been given a message, and she'd been trying to fall pregnant for about 8 years. And I said to her, I'm supposed to give you this message that you're supposed to meet me before you fall pregnant. And 6 weeks later, she was pregnant. And I thought to myself, what do I do? I thought, okay, this is really crazy. And also I suffered from scoliosis. And in March of, soon after I started hearing the angels, I was sitting in my room, and I prayed to God, and I said, my back hurts. If there's any way you can ease the pain in my back. 1 week later, my scoliosis disappeared. I had a straight spine, and I have proof of that. I was suffering from vertigo, and I was informed by the angels that there was a blood clot in my brain. That is why one of the reasons I had left my permanent job, which was in IT. I was getting sick at work, and that was causing the onset of the vertigo. Something had fallen on my head a few years prior to me getting ill at work. And then I was asked to cough, and I coughed the blood clot out into my hand. I don't get sick. I don't need to sleep. I don't need to eat. At the moment, this is the past 3.5 years has led me to this point. I Hi, Mikkel. So during this time in 2017, I was supposed to go on pilgrimage, and it was a really big deal. But certain things started happening to me just before I'd left. Other than hearing the angels, it's almost as if there were dual forces, that it's as if there was the light and the dark. And towards July of that year, I was struggling to separate the two. And then I left for pilgrimage in July 2017. That ended up being the most traumatic 6 weeks of my life. If I start crying, please excuse me. So we rocked up in Medina, and I was there with a group. I didn't go with family members. I was sharing with a friend. And about 2 days in, I disappeared in Medina. And I experienced something that was so traumatic that it took me 2.5 years to share that experience with someone. I saw things that literally shocked me. I struggled to get out of where I was and find my way back to the hotel. It's almost as if it was Medina, but a darker Medina, where everything was just, instead of light, dark. And it's almost as if everything was turned upside down. And I thought, how did I get here? I wandered around. I think my body was in so much shock and fear that I couldn't function on a logical level. I saw everything as the haram should be in Medina, where the mosque is, but everything was different. And I thought, I don't know how to get out of here. I thought this was hell. I literally thought I was in hell, and that there was no way for me to get out. And I don't know how long. I eventually found my way back to the hotel. And when I opened the door, my friend looked at me and she said, "Where have you been? You'd been gone, I think days. I can't remember how long." And after that, I literally couldn't function. I'd seen things that I don't think I should have seen, and Mikkel, that is probably why I feel the way that I do, because I'd been looking forward to that experience for years. So by the time I got home 6 weeks later, I was too traumatized to speak about my experience. So people had asked, "How was your pilgrimage?" And I thought, I can't tell you, because I'm trying to find my way back to normalcy. And something happened when I was, there's a place called Mina. When I was on Mina as well, I think I died a few times while I was on pilgrimage, literally. And I was with a group, and some of them had experienced, and actually told them not to tell anyone. When I got home, I had my mother stay with me. I had a fear of being alone. It's almost as if I saw dead around me constantly. And I stayed on my own with my son. I eventually moved out because I couldn't be alone at all. And my son stayed with his dad for a while. And I had no idea. It's almost as if my life became completely chaotic following that time. I didn't know what God's plan was, what God wanted me to do. And I remember, all I know is, and then I was in an accident, and I knew this was planned by maybe the darkness. Only later on I found out what exactly was happening. I was going down a road in Rondebosch, and a 19-year-old jumped a stop street and he hit me straight when my car was a write-off. And I just recovered from a similar incident that may have happened in Medina, in Cape Town. My body was wrecked. And I thought to myself, something is out to get me. I had no idea how to stop whatever was trying to get me. There were days I slept in my car because when I was around people, they would literally get hurt. So I stayed in my car for about 4 or 5 days. I slept there. I didn't eat for 4 or 5 days, but I wasn't hungry. And then I moved into a place in Constantia for a while. And something happened to me when I was there. It's as if the forces of dark were hunting me, and they broke through some windows. And I hope the people in Constantia never hear this. God, please, they can never hear this. And I went through so much trauma that night that my skin changed color, my hair stopped growing, and a few months later my teeth started falling out. So I only stayed there for about a week, even though I planned to stay there for a year. And I moved back in with my mom. And I had no idea whether I was Arthur or Martha from one day to the next. So I thought I needed to find someone who could assist me. But I still couldn't talk about what happened in Medina. So the end of last year, which was 2019, I eventually spoke to my mom about what happened, and I said to her, I have to speak to you. This is what has happened. In this time, I developed abilities to do things that, and I see some of my clients are watching as well, that I can see the dead, I can see into heaven, I can see who's going to die, I can heal people immediately, I can see any illness in anybody, living body. I know why people died. I know if people are missing, for example, there are people being cancers that are arguing. I just know what's happening in people's lives. So I've been gifted abilities to do pretty significant things to assist people. And I thought the irony was I couldn't really do that for myself. And when I went to see, I spoke to my mom in September and I said, I have to see someone. And then I went to see what is called a Maulana, which is an Islamic teacher. And he said to me that what I was going through was called kashf. It's spelled Kashf, where God elevates someone in rank and lifts the veils between God and themselves, and you basically get to see everything behind the veil. But I didn't know or have the tools to manage separating the two. And he mentioned that I needed a guide. And I thought, I must say, after that I felt so much better, but it still didn't take away the pain and trauma that I was going through on almost daily basis. So my love for God dissipated almost completely to a point where I resented God, and I said, I did so much for you. What is it that you want from me? You put me through trauma when I went on pilgrimage to praise you. I struggled up until now even, but there were so many things that happened this year. When I went through the pilgrimage at the time, they said the pilgrimage that I went through was the most traumatic for anyone who's ever been on pilgrimage. And that pilgrimage was no longer going to be significant. And the following year, 20 members of my family got accredited to go on pilgrimage. Only 2 went, and I thought, that was interesting, that nobody really wanted to go. Last year, none of my family members went, and this year, pilgrimage is cancelled. So I thought to myself, that was very significant for me. And there were so many things that's happening in the world now that when things happen to me, it's almost as if there's a delayed reaction in the world that's happening to them. And it's almost as if there are things in my life that's tied to what's happening in the world at the moment. And when my journey started back in 2017, I was told that I'm here for a purpose, for a reason. End of the world was coming. People needed to be prepared. I had to bring peace to the world. Me and an angel it was just a lot to do with me and the angelic beings. And I thought, okay, there's no one in the world that's going to believe that. So I don't think I would even tell them. And then COVID-19 hit. And the world basically went into standstill. And I thought, okay, that's God giving a message to the world. And then I was told that my life was pretty similar to Neo's in the Matrix, where he was taken, sent to Morpheus. Morpheus gave him a choice of a red or a blue pill. I was not given that choice. Hi, Sheshni. I wasn't given the choice. I was given the red pill and thrown down the rabbit hole, and got to see what the Matrix is really about. You got to know God. You got to know how the universe operates, how everything works. I can basically see the universe from where I am. I can see how the construction of everything is. It's too much information for me. I'm a little person, so when I see all this information, I'm thinking, that must be for people who really want to know that. For me, I'm very simplistic. There are people who construct aeroplanes. They have the blueprints, and I'm happy for them. I don't need to know how an aeroplane is constructed. And I said that to God. I said, I don't need to know how you constructed the universe. Why you did the Quran or the Bible and the Torah the way that you did. But somehow I feel that I'm connected to the holy books, the holy scriptures in some way. And there's some important thing that I have to do. And I think there are some of my friends that are on here as well, and clients that understand my perspective. Thanks, Melanie, for everything. And Sheshni. And so my purpose at the moment is I heal people on a daily basis, and some people have said to me I have superpowers. But for me, it feels like I'm not a superpower for myself. For me to get by each day is a challenge. I have a friend that said, we are gods, like beings, we have to fight. And I thought to myself, but God needs to do the fight. God created everything. And I was told recently that I am Mother Mary. And I'm thinking, that's interesting, because I told that Jesus is here. And the reason that all these changes are happening in the world and people are going through transitions is because the end is nigh. Jesus is here, and they're going to make themselves known. Archangel Gabriel, Israfel, or Raphael, and Archangel Michael. And it's just a matter of time before that transition is going to take place, and it's happening in the world at the moment with the COVID-19. So that is most of my story, and I know for many of you it might be unbelievable or she's talking crap, but that is truly my story. I'll probably be giving another talk, which I was supposed to give yesterday, on how the human body heals and the vibrational energies in each cell of the body. And that was what was gifted to me, is knowing how every cell in the body works, how to heal them, the vibrational energy, etc., etc. So I'm a medical intuitive, and I assist the human body to heal on various levels. So so that was my story, and thank you for listening. And if you need to get hold of me, my details are on my website, www.integrativetherapy.co.za. Thank you very much. Love you all. Bye. Thanks, Rishni.